And it seems that you really need an education on how this stuff works. And I'm going to give you one today. Entertain any offer from the city. I will say that the offer is pleading to one count of disorderly conduct, and I'll find you $200.
I'm not contracted. I'm not going to contract with the city.
Let me finish what I have to do. Let me finish what I have to do, okay? As far as the procedure is concerned. This is
okay, excuse me.
No. Let me finish and I'll answer your question. We're here on an arraignment for Mr. Reginald Linton L. On one count, entering without permission. That's entering dwelling without permission. That is ticket number U613222121, complaint number U613222121. The maximum possible penalty for that is 90 days in jail and or $500 in fine if you're found guilty of that. We're also here on complaint number U6132221 in violation of 38-11-2 of the
Before we even step into this courtroom, you need to understand what you're about to witness. This isn't just another routine arraignment. This is a Moorish Sovereign citizen walking into Judge Perkins' courtroom armed with paperwork, word salad, and a belief that the laws of Detroit somehow don't apply to him. The charges? Entering a dwelling without permission and possession of cocaine, both carrying potential jail time. But instead of focusing on the fact of the case, what unfolds is nearly 20 minutes of sovereign ideology, contradictory legal citations, and documents that the defendant clearly believes override state authority.
And the last time I checked, crack cocaine is not legal to have in the city of Detroit. 22121 and U6132221. Appearance for the record, please, or appear if he doesn't want counsel, then that's fine too. Do you want Ms. Hatcher to represent you, Mr. Linton L?
No.
All right. State your name for the record, sir.
I'm not here to contract with you. I'm just here as a meeting of the minds to get this case dismissed because there's no corpus delicti. And I'm not a state, federal, corporate entity, ins legis, if you will. My documents speak for themselves. And
well, that's what I was talking
then
about.
There's the matter.
That's what I was talking about.
The matter. Right. There's the matter of infringement.
All right. Are you done?
Oh, proceed.
Yeah, you said your documents speak for themselves, and that's what I was talking about. I spent the morning, part of the morning, reading all the documents that you provided, sir. And like I say, from what I can gather and from what I know about cases like this, you're trying to say that you're sovereign. The Constitution doesn't allow the city of Detroit or the state of Michigan to be able to police their streets and protect the health, safety, and welfare of their citizens, and that the law.
So let's pause right there and break this down clearly. The court has just outlined two major issues: unlawful entry into a dwelling and possession of cocaine under Detroit Municipal Code. Both are punishable by up to 90 days in jail and fines. This is not a minor paperwork dispute. This is potential criminal liability. And notice something important. The judge enters a not guilty plea on his behalf and sets a $0 personal bond. That's actually procedural fairness. The court is ensuring due process moves forward. But instead of addressing the elements of the charges, permission, ownership, possession, the defendant immediately pivots into sovereign ideology.
That's going to be able to give you a prescription for it. And this is the allegation that they made. Now, I'll tell you this.
Well,
I don't see any. Okay.
No, go ahead. Forgive me.
Okay. I'll tell you this. One thing I will acknowledge and I will acknowledge that as for the EWOP ticket, he did state in his pleadings that he was allowed to come in this house. He was invited in this house, and the house was fully furnished, and he was invited. So I don't know. I do have some question about that. I also have some, huh?
That's what trials are for.
Yeah, that's what trials are for, and he's at least made that case and asked for the crack cocaine ticket. I don't know, is there any way to determine that it was actually crack cocaine? So those are issues that I have with the case. But as far as what you're filing, I really, the stuff that you've put together, it seems like you've taken a lot of time with it. But you're also kind of contradicting yourself in your own pleadings when you cite the Michigan Court Rule 2.02b that allows me, and it says that I can take judicial notice. And particularly in that document, it says, when discretionary, a court shall take judicial notice without request by a party of one, the common law, constitutions and public statutes enforced in every state, territory, and jurisdiction of the United States, and two, private acts and resolutions of Congress of the United States and of the legislature of Michigan, and ordinance and regulations of governmental subdivisions of agencies of Michigan, and the laws of foreign countries. So at one point you're saying that these don't apply to you because of your sovereignship, but then you cite a court rule that's saying exactly the opposite. That I can take judicial notice because judicial notice gives me power to say that they do have a jurisdiction over you.
Here we go. The classic, I'm not here to contract argument. This is a foundational sovereign citizen belief that court proceedings are contractual interactions requiring consent. But criminal jurisdiction doesn't work like a business agreement. You don't opt in or opt out of criminal law by refusing a contract. Jurisdiction comes from geographic authority and statutory law, not mutual agreement. And notice the language, no corpus delicti, I'm not a federal corporate entity. These are buzzwords commonly pulled from online templates. But using legal terminology without understanding its application doesn't change the procedural reality.
I see that in your pleading, and on its face, then I probably would agree with that. If you go if somebody invites you to a home and it's fully furnished, it doesn't look like it's it looks like they own it and live there. I don't know. On its face, that sounds like a good argument in your behalf. I don't know what the police are going to say. I don't know whether they have the ability to say that this property was not theirs, the person that you claim it was. But for the most part, I thought the argument would be a pretty good argument. But all this other stuff that you filed, I don't know what you're talking about, sir. I have no clue.
Well, you need me to elaborate? Exhibit 1.
I mean, like I say,
Exhibit 1 is an authenticated birth certificate. Exhibit 1 is an authenticated birth certificate. That's actually expatriation. Exhibit 2.
And what does that say that again?
Expatriate.
Expatriate. What? And give me your understanding of what that means.
Well, in other words, I own what you would be going after, which is my estate. I am the beneficiary.
Let's go to that. Let's go to that portion. I read that portion, right? And you filed a document with the county with the Wayne County Register of Deeds. And in this document, it says estate conveyance deed. And this goes back to October 14th, I guess, of 2014. It looks like, or 2019, wherever that is. And it says that by first party grantor, Reginald Ray Linton estate, a foreign estate whose original address is 8 14 Jefferson Avenue, Memphis, Tennessee, to second party grantee Reginald Linton L., a indigenous man, secured party whose mailing address is this mailing address I'm gonna say on the record. And then it kind of goes through what you're conveying, and it gave some consideration. Well, first of all, I'm looking at it like this. All right.
This is actually a pivotal moment. Judge Perkins points out something that sovereign arguments consistently struggle with: contradiction. On one hand, the defendant claims Michigan law and Detroit municipal codes don't apply to him. On the other hand, he cites Michigan Court Rule 2.02 to support his argument. That's like saying the rule book doesn't apply to you, while quoting the rule book for protection. The concept of judicial notice the judge is explaining is straightforward. Courts recognize constitutions, statutes, and ordinances as authoritative law. You can't selectively accept legal authority only when it benefits you. And the judge is calmly exposing that inconsistency.
And I can go around and around and give it to you like it is. But
I'm not gonna spend too much more time on it. I'll let you state your but because this hasn't been responded to by the city. Then let me just go through with some other stuff that I said. You got to document United States Department of State to all to whom this presents shall come. Greetings. I certify that the documents hereunto annexed is under the seal of the state of Tennessee, and that such seal is entitled to full faith and credit. Okay. I mean, are we talking about your birth certificate? That's full faith and credit. But you're not referencing any of these documents under the seal. So I don't know what you're talking about. Then you provide me.
Did you? Go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
Then you provide me what I had to go look up that the world political asylum card and the World Government of World Citizens card. So I go to their website and I looked it up. And in the last paragraph of the World Passport, it says, a passport gains credibility only by its acceptance by authorities other than the issuing agent. So that in of itself, for this passport to be authentic and people support it and recognize it, the other people beside the world passport people have to be able to say, I recognize that as an authority. And I don't know if the government of the United States recognizes this as any authority.
I use it to get into the federal building to take care of certain issues. And as far as the document you were speaking in terms of the Department of License and Regulatory Affairs, there was a diligent search done on my name to show that there's no liability or no corporate entity that has been registered under me. And the other issue is with all what you have before you is because, well, courts are operating under federal debt collection procedure. And all officials, federal and state.
I don't know where you get that authority and where you say that. You haven't cited that in your brief at all, and I don't know that to be true. I know that the courts are operating.
I know.
Now, this is interesting. The judge actually acknowledges that if someone was invited into a furnished home by someone appearing to live there, that could potentially be a legitimate defense at trial. That's a key distinction. The judge isn't dismissing everything outright. He's separating potential factual defenses from irrelevant sovereign claims. This is a huge opportunity for the defendant if his argument is that he was invited and reasonably believed the person had authority. That's something a jury could weigh. But instead of focusing on that defense, he keeps circling back to jurisdictional theories.
Preside over your Michigan citizens with statutory and codes.
Right. I
They're
can do
not,
that.
they're not common law.
They don't have to be common law. They've been codified. If you read the whole Constitution, the 14th Amendment gives the states the power to codify their laws. All right, so Mr. Lynch and L, today is only the date and time for arraignment in the matter. So,
Right. I want to, if you don't mind, I want to
leave here.
again.
Leave. I don't want to see you with no clothes on, sir. Go ahead.
Okay. Exhibit 5 is a certified document from the Library of Congress, where there was an act to provide for a government for the District of Columbia, and which happens to be a municipal corporation, which happens to be where you are, a municipal corporation. Now, the document that you stated about the United States of America, United States is given full faith and credit and so forth, is where a legal search was done by my name. And see, I'm not my name. My name was given to me to distinguish me.
Now we enter the expatriation argument. The defendant appears to suggest he has separated himself from U.S. jurisdiction through documents filed with the Register of Deeds. But here's the legal issue. Expatriation is a federal process. It involves formal renunciation procedures, typically conducted before a U.S. diplomatic or consular officer. Filing paperwork locally does not dissolve criminal jurisdiction. And notice the judge's method. He's not yelling. He's asking, what does that mean to you? That's strategic, because when defendants explain these concepts in their own words, the gaps become visible. Courts deal and recognize legal process.
If you go back and look at my signature or my identification, UCC 1-308, not to be compelled to perform under any unbilled contract that I haven't entered into without knowledge and knowing of all said contract. And I don't have a contract with you guys or the state of Michigan. And well, again, you said there's a corpus delicti. Where's the corpus delicti? Because you can't injure a corporation state. You can't injure. And I got your Duns and Bradstreet number.
Yes, you can. Listen. Yes, you can. Listen. Let me just say this. I know you're not going to believe what I'm saying because you have formulated your own belief, but you can criminalize a company, a corporation criminally responsible. You can do that.
Okay.
You can hold a corporation criminally responsible, and you can hold the officers of that corporation criminally responsible.
Okay, so here's the thing. That officer, which is not an officer of the court, issuing out contracts for me to engage with your municipality, and him issuing a contract, he don't have a right to issue no contract to me for me to engage with you. And then, as a matter of fact, that's why I quoted in here in the affidavit. That's why I quoted in the affidavit on page.
This might be one of the most revealing exchanges. The defendant presents a world government of world citizens passport. The judge does something critical. He looks up the issuing authority and reads a disclaimer. Credibility depends on acceptance by other governments. That's devastating to the argument. Passports only function if sovereign nations recognize them. If the United States does not recognize the issuing body as a legitimate authority, the document carries no legal weight in court. And the judge is walking through this methodically, not emotionally. This is a reality check moment. Court recognition depends on established legal authority, not symbolic documentation.
Pulled me over and assumed what he assumed.
Now, listen. Now you're talking language that I understand. Now, none of that was in your brief. The only thing that was in your
actually it is. Actually, it is there because it's in there. It's in there. The terminology that I use wouldn't be what you would use, where it states I didn't harm anybody. That in your legal lease terms would replace here,
We gotta be speaking the same language in order to talk.
I understand what you're saying. I understand
We gotta speak
very
the
well
same
what you're
language.
saying.
And I
Okay.
gotta speak the language of the written law and how it's written and the way you write it. I mean, I can't go into your
Well,
mind. trying to
Well, you
decide-
said
What we just witnessed is a textbook example of sovereign ideology colliding with procedural criminal law. The defendant faces two straightforward charges: unlawful entry and possession of cocaine. The judge carefully reviewed the filings, acknowledged possible factual defenses regarding the alleged invitation into the home, and even scrutinized the prosecution's burden regarding substance identification. That's due process in action. But the sovereign arguments, contract refusal, expatriation filings, world passports, fail to establish lack of jurisdiction.